What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Howard, aka the official Georgia boy. And you're now tuned in to another episode of Fan of Atlanta 365, man. So I know this has been my first official video for Fan of Atlanta 365 in a long time. But I wanted to give y'all some content. I promised y'all that I would give y'all a 2022-2023 state of the franchise of the Atlanta Falcons. But as before we even get started, man, I just want to, thank everybody for your support. Thank y'all for, supporting Fan of Atlanta 365, the network. As you all know, the network, Fan of Atlanta 365 has become a network where we have many other shows. As you all know, No Huddle has been a big hit this season. So kind of been focusing in a lot on the No Huddle podcast with me and my guy Hassan, man. So y'all catch us live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, thank y'all for supporting the channel, man. It's been lit. You know what I'm saying? I think No Huddle has been a great success this season. I look forward to next season. Just seeing that show grow. Also, you can catch J&B, the Talk of the Dirty South show, hopefully resuming next year, this next season. Hopefully when my guy come back from, overseas handling business, me and my boy Bush, J&B, the Talk of the Dirty South show will return, hopefully. And then you got Unc and Nephew. Hopefully that show will resume this season as well. Me and my nephew, J-Man, I know we're gonna bring y'all some Falcon talk this season, so definitely get ready for that, man. But also you got Fan of Atlanta 365. Although it is a network, it's still a show as well. This is my show, where I get to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. So I just want to, give y'all some content. I know I haven't given y'all content all season, but here we are. Hey, shout out to my boy Merrick Gallara, man. Thank you for joining us, man. I hope you like this show, man. I know you probably been waiting on some Atlanta Falcons talk. So here we go, man. But yeah, so definitely, man. Don't forget, man, support the channel. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your pet goldfish if you have one, man. It's another episode of Fan of Atlanta 365. So, like I said, in this video, I kind of wanted to go into depth of what I saw from the 2022-2023 Atlanta Falcons. But before we get there, I want to, because Fan of Atlanta 365 means that I'm a fan of the whole city of Atlanta, the whole state of Georgia, mainly all the professional sports teams and college teams that I support. I would definitely I like to give you guys my state of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry, the Atlanta sports teams in general. I like to give you just an evaluation or analysis or just an overview of of those teams that I support. So let's go ahead and get to that first. We got the Atlanta United, man. The Atlanta United finished this year 11th in the East. I'm not a big follower of soccer, but I do support my Atlanta United. Unfortunately, they had a bad season, ending the season 10 wins, 14 losses, and 10 ties. Moving on to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, another team that I'm a fan of when they're not playing at the Georgia Bulldogs. Anybody else, I hope that I'm rooting for Georgia Tech. But unfortunately, they again, had a losing record of 5-7. Did not have any bowl games, wasn't qualified for a bowl game. But, Georgia Tech is just one of them teams that just got to get right, man. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't really pay attention to Georgia Tech. I'm just a fan by default. Moving on to the next team, we got the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves this year, man, had a solid season. Won the NL East. They the NL East champs. Finished the season 101 wins and 61 losses. Unfortunately, they lost to the Philadelphia Phillies in the NL wild card round, 3-1. But I expect the Atlanta Braves to bounce back next season and and take us home like they did the year before. Merrick Gallar, he said, I have a season ticket to every Atlanta United home game. Hey, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. I've been to a couple of Atlanta United games, but like I said, I'm just not a fan of soccer like that. I don't really know soccer like that to be able to discuss it. But that's what's up, bro. Shout out to Merrick Gallar, man, season ticket holder. And then we get to the Atlanta Hawks. I have been paying attention to the Hawks, have watched every game this season. I love what I see in the Hawks. Unfortunately, I want to see some more consistency. We've been having a lot of players that's been injured. Also, we've been losing some games that came down to the wire. But I feel like the Atlanta Hawks are in good position to make a playoff push. Currently, we're ninth in the Eastern Conference at 19-22. I know we just lost to the Milwaukee Bucks last night. We had a chance to win that game, and then Drew Holiday just went off. We did stop Giannis, so that was a plus. I feel like we have the Milwaukee Bucks number, man, for some reason, even though they won last night, but we got the Milwaukee Bucks number. Merrick Gillard also said, I'm a huge soccer fan. Hey, that's what's up, bro. Hopefully I can learn something from you, man. You should talk about soccer. I don't know if you have your own channel, if you talk soccer like that. But definitely, man, if you ever want to, come on to the Fan of Atlanta 365 network, hey, you can start your soccer channel. That would be great, man. But hey, shout out to Merrick Gillard. And then we got the Atlanta Falcons, who is the topic of discussion today, but I will go ahead and give you an overview of the season. Of course, the Atlanta Falcons finished last in the NFC South. Unfortunately, we ended the season 7-10. Had a chance to win this division. We just couldn't get over the hump. Just couldn't win games when we needed to consistently. So we ended the season 7-10 with this division. This whole year was just horrible. The best team ended up being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think they if I'm correct, I think they finished the season like 9-8 or something like that. So it was a bad NFC South, but the Falcons end up finishing last. But however, I did see a lot of great things, but we'll get to that a little later when I get to the state of the franchise. That's what we're here for. And then last but surely not least, my Georgia Bulldogs once again win the college championship game. So, let's recap. They finished the season 13-0, no losses, 13 wins. Haven't lost a game since the SEC championship last year to Alabama. And before that, I guess in 2021 season, I think. But so we've been on a dominating road lately. We the SEC champs, beat LSU in the SEC championship. Then we made it to the playoffs. At number 1 seed, beat Ohio State in a nail biter. In the first round, 42-41. A lot of people gonna try to say, oh, if Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get hurt and all that. Hey, I don't want to hear that, man. At the end of the day, we can only play who in front of us. And we had some players that went down. We had our best pass rusher that went down. So who knows? Who's to say? CJ Stroud probably wouldn't have been able to get a lot of those passes off if we had our number 1 dominating pass rusher in the game. Because a lot of times his passes were completed due to extending plays, improvising, and giving his receivers chances to try to get open after they already ran their routes. So at the end of the day, the Georgia Bulldogs beat the Ohio State Buckeyes in the college football playoff game 42-41, which ended the season with a dominating win over the TCU Bullfrogs. To tell you the truth, I didn't even celebrate that whole game because I expected Georgia to do that. I didn't come in expecting TCU to even give us a game. I didn't come into that game expecting TCU to even be able to compete with us. They did get that one touchdown, which ended the game 65-7, and that one little touchdown was based on, I think, like a blown coverage or something like that. Dude got down the field, and then they end up, I think they ran the ball in or something like that. So, dominating win by the Georgia Bulldogs, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're playing teams that are inferior to your team. You're supposed to dominate them, and that's what Georgia did. One of the worst as far as entertaining championship games. However, the best championship game when it came to point differential, the Georgia Bulldogs beat them boys by like 50-some points, man. So, hey, we the champs. We the champs, and we looking forward to next year. We bringing a lot of those guys back. Unfortunately, we're gonna lose our quarterback and a few other players, but for the most part, we're bringing our guys back. And who knows, man? We may be the champs again next year. We'll see. I think it's been a changing of the guards. Alabama is no longer that dominant team, and I feel like the Georgia Bulldogs have taken over. This is our time. But yeah, so that's been the state of the franchise, state of the Atlanta sports teams. As you all know, Fan of Atlanta 365, the reason why it got its name is because I'm a fan of Atlanta 365, meaning all throughout the year, I'm a fan of Atlanta, whether it's baseball, football, soccer, whatever Atlanta sports are competing, I'm it. I'm a Georgia boy to the day I die, man. It's deep in my blood, so I'm going to always support my teams. But we didn't come for that. We came for that, but we didn't come for that. What we came for is I want to give you guys my Fan of Atlanta 365 state of the franchise. So we're going to go ahead and move to that topic. Let me get to these comments. We got Mary Galar. He said, go Dogs. Hey, that's right, man. Go Dogs. You know what I'm saying? Go Dogs. We're going to get another one next year. So let's get to the first one, man. We already did that one. We on to the state of the okay. We got the 2022-2023 state of the franchise for the Atlanta Falcons. Unfortunately, like I said before, we ended the season last in the division of the NFC South, which was not a good division this year. Tampa Bay did win the NFC South. But however, the Falcons, they, you know, if I had to talk about the season, I would say the Falcons, you know, they exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Unfortunately, they fell short of my expectations. I felt like this team could make a playoff run, but we didn't. But we fell a little short on that. However, what I did see is a lot. I saw a lot of positives, and I saw a lot of negatives. But we're gonna get to that. So let's get to the first one. How did the Atlanta Falcons season turn out? First, I think we lost a lot of games that we should have won. So let's recap the season. When you go to week 1, you play the New Orleans Saints at home, and I have to call them the New Orleans Saints because they actually beat us 2 times. Normally they're the New Orleans Aints, but today, due to them winning both, sweeping us this year, I have to respect their name. So I'm gonna call them the New Orleans Saints today, and that hurts me. That I feel like I want to throw up right now, man. You know that's. You know, let me drink a little water real fast because I feel a little nauseous saying New Orleans Saints. Yeah, so New Orleans Saints, you know, we gave up a 20-point lead in the second half. I mean, you got the game in the bag pretty much. In the second half, it seems like the Falcons just couldn't get right. We ended up losing that game 27-26. So I was at that game, and you know that game I left with a headache because I was so excited when we were winning, and then it was almost like another Super Bowl type of reaction where you just like, bro, how did we let that slip away? So the New Orleans Saints did get the win over the Falcons in the first week. Week number 2, the Los Angeles Rams. We come up short at the end where Jalen Ramsey picks it off in the end zone over Brian. I think it was Brian Edwards who Marcus Mariota tries to throw to. If Marcus Mariota throws that ball a little lower, Brian Edwards gets a better chance at catching that ball and, you know, getting into the end zone, which could have, you know, changed the game. I think we would have won the game, even though the Rams started off 21-0 over us in the first half. And then, you know, in the second half, we started dominating. But we're going to get to that a little later when we're talking about the defense. And then also the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 5. Tom Brady gets bailed out from a bad roughing the passer call, you know, and they end up winning the game 15-21. Not saying that if we would have got that sack, because we got that sack, and if they didn't make that call, we would have won that game. But we would definitely had the momentum. We were looking like we was going to run it down the field and you know, and win that game. We were only down by 6 points. So we had a chance. Unfortunately, the refs kind of, you know, did us in on that one with Grady Jarrett's sack. Then in week 7, the Cincinnati Bengals, we were just overmatched. We were overmatched. Cornell Armstrong got scorched. You know, I mean, they got 3 elite receivers, and we just couldn't stop nobody. Joe Burrow was just, you know, picking who he wanted to throw it to, and just, you know, he was almost doing us like the Bulldogs did TCU, just dominated us. So, you know, they did win that game 17-35. You know, we just couldn't match up. I think AJ Terrell did play that game, but I think he got hurt in that game. And then Casey Hayward was out that game. So we was already short of cornerbacks, and it just made it look even worse. Week number 9, we played the Los Angeles Chargers, and we all know Traquan Graham makes the fumble when we had a chance to try to, win that game and take it to overtime. And Traquan Graham forces a fumble and picks it up, and he's trying to run with it, and the ball, I guess, got caught on his leg. I don't know what happened. Unfortunately, he fumbled. They picked it back up, and they ended up winning by a field goal, which won that game 20-17. And then week 10, the Carolina Panthers. And I have to call them the Carolina Panthers because they won the last game. Normally I call them the Carolina Panties, but today they the Carolina Panthers. Dante Foreman ran for a buck 30. Also in that game, Richard Grant dropped a potential pick six that could have won that game in the end. And that's one thing. That's one trend that I saw this whole season. The Falcons would fight back and have a chance to win the game, but couldn't execute in the key moments when they needed to. So we did lose that game, unfortunately, 25-15, because I think they ended up scoring a field goal after that. Next, the Washington football team in week 12. I looked at that whole game. Arthur Smith gave that game up in the key moment. He calls a passing play on the goal line with 1 minute and 3 seconds on the clock. We had all 3 timeouts. Washington had no timeouts. We're on the goal line. We're on the 4-yard line, down 6. We call a passing play. Marcus Mariota tries to get the ball to Cordero Patterson. Unfortunately, I think it was Josh Allen. Ended up jumping up and tipping the ball. It flew in the air, and Kendall Fuller ended up picking the ball off. We lost that game by 6 points when we had I felt like if we would have just ran the ball, it's second down. Like, let's just run the ball. If we don't get it, get up third down, run the ball again, because at that time they couldn't stop Tyler Algier and they couldn't stop Cordero Patterson. So why did we just stop running the ball? Instead, we on the goal line, we pull the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl against New England Patriots. And it happened. We lost that game. So that was a game that we should have won. But unfortunately, Arthur Smith gave that one up, in my opinion. Then, after making the stop on defense, we forced a punt, and we get a roughing the passer, roughing the kicker call, which gave them the ball back. And we lost that game 19-13. So we had a chance to beat the Washington Commanders. Unfortunately, we lost again this year to them like we did last year. Week 13, Pittsburgh Steelers. Marcus Mariota proves that he's just not that guy that game. He proves that he's not that guy. Marcus Mariota throws a pick six opportunity to Micah Fitzpatrick. Of course, he ended up running out of bounds because I think they were saying last time they tried to run it back and the team ended up. I forgot why he didn't run it into the end zone, but he ended up getting the pick. He could have had a pick six. He fortunately went out of bounds, but Marcus Mariota threw the game-winning interception, and we lost that game 19-16. Then let's see, week 15, New Orleans Saints. Arthur Smith again executes displays poor situational football once again, and I'm gonna run you through this entire drive. I remember it, in my head. It's 3 minutes and something seconds on the clock. First down, we down by 3. No, we down by 2. Only thing we got to do is get in field goal range. We got one of the best kickers in the league. It's 1st and 10. We've been running the ball down their throat the whole game. They couldn't stop Tyler Algier. First and 10, we got Desmond Ridder, who's starting his first game in a hostile environment in a division game, one of the most brutal rivalries of all time. Also, Desmond Ridder haven't had a great game at this time. So, for us to be competing against the Saints in the second half, brought it back down by 2 points. Only thing we got to do is get in field goal range. We win this game. Well, no, we're down by 3. We got to get in field goal range to go to overtime. We score a touchdown. We win the game. First down and 10, Arthur Smith tries to run like a pass play to Miko. What's his name? Miko Pruitt. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to complete that pass. Desmond Ridder almost threw a pick as well on that play. Okay, so I'm thinking like, okay, maybe the Falcons gonna try to calm down this play. No, the Falcons don't. It's 2nd and 10. The Falcons decides to go into like a trick play type play. Has Felipe Franks to get the snap. Cordero Patterson comes around for a reverse. And then I meant for like a jet sweep type thing, and then he reverses it to Desmond Ritter, and nobody was open. Desmond Ritter takes the sack that puts us behind the chains. Now I think it was 3rd and 12. The next play, this 3rd and 12 play, Cordero Patterson runs for like a good 5 or 6 yards, gets us in 4th and 5, a manageable 4th and 5, but at the same time, we shouldn't have been in that position. And then on 4th down, we complete the pass to Drake London, and unfortunately the ball got knocked out. We fumbled, we lose the game. We lost that game 18-21. So that was another game that we could have won, or we could have at least had a chance. And Arthur Smith blows that one. And then the last game, the last loss that we took this season, Week 16 against the Baltimore Ravens. Bad call on 3rd down, and 3rd down and 1, with 3 minutes and 3 seconds. The Falcons are in the 4th quarter down 9. Arthur Smith calls a pitch play to Cordero Patterson to the left. The defense gobbles him up. We have to settle for a field goal. Now we down by 6, I want to say. And pretty much the time runs out. I mean, we couldn't stop them from getting a 1st down. They end up, winning the game 17-9. So at the end of the day, the Falcons put themselves in position to win a lot of games. We lost games due to poor quarterback play or just poor coaching situation of football, which we lost a lot of games. I think right now that's 11 games that we lost and out of those 11, maybe 10 of those or 9, we had a chance to win. So at the end of the day, the Falcons gave that season up. But I did see some highlights in this game. I did see some good things. So let's discuss some of those good things that I did see coming from the offensive side of the ball. Let's look at some pros from the offensive side of the ball. What I saw was a solid run game all season. We had 559 attempts rushing, 2,718 rushing yards in total. 4.9 per attempt. So every time we ran the ball, we was at least getting 4.9 yards based on the average. And then we had 159.9 points per game scored on the rushing, rushing yards per game. And then we had 7 touchdowns rushing. But who led the way? Tyler Algier, the rookie, the guy who I said was going to be the best pick of the Atlanta Falcons this past draft. I told y'all Tyler Algier was going to be that guy. He was my dark horse, and he came out there and proved me right. Tyler Algier ran for 210 attempts for 1,335 yards. 1,035 yards this season. When I think he broke Kyle Pitts' record for the most yards from a rookie for the Atlanta Falcons. So he broke that record, and then had 3 touchdowns. Average 64.7 yards per game. They couldn't stop Tyler Algier, but for some reason, at points in games, we would just stop going to him. We would stop feeding him. And Tyler Algier only played 16 games. And he only started maybe a couple towards the end. But for the most part, Cordero Patterson was our starting running back. And then Cordero went down. Then Tyler Algier came in. And, that's when he just showed his butt. But unfortunately, Tyler Algier didn't get as many yards as he could have gotten, but I think next year he's going to be that. He's going to be running. He's going to be doing this thing. Then you go to Cordero Patterson, another dominant year for him. Unfortunately, his year kind of tailed off in the middle of the season, and then he started to regain towards the end. But it kind of showed me the same thing that he showed me last season, where he started off hot, and then as the season progressed, he started to wear down. But at least he had Tyler Algier to kind of help him with the carries. But this year he ended the season with 144 attempts. He did get hurt. I think he sat out for like 2 games. And then he ended up having 695 yards rushing. Now, in the beginning of the season, he was the leading rusher. Or if he was behind, he was either leading or in top 3. I know Saquon and Nick Chubb was having some good games, but Cordero Patterson was definitely in the top 3. Mary Gallard said, I was very impressed with Tyler Algier. Yes, Tyler Algier is gonna be a beast, man. Y'all keep your eye on that guy. He's gonna be a beast. But yes, Cordero Patterson, he ended the season with 8 touchdowns. He did have 1 fumble, and that 1 fumble, he was so upset that it got punched out. what he do on the next drive. As soon as he got the ball in his hands, kick return, he returns the kick return and end up breaking Devin Hester's record with the most kick returns in the career. So Cordero Patterson to me, he still had a pretty good season, and I look to see him have to continue this success, especially with a Tyler Algier and a Caleb Huntley, somebody who I'm going to get to next. With a Caleb Huntley helping him in the run game as well. Marcus Mariota, even though he's no longer with the team, the past few games he hasn't been with the team. He did contribute to the running game as well. At one point, the Atlanta Falcons was leading in rushing, in overall rushing, and Marcus Mariota was definitely playing a big role in that. He had 85 attempts, 438 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. He did have 5 fumbles. He lost 2 of those. I remember one fumble that he lost when he tried to go get the touchdown against the New Orleans Saints in Week 1, and he ended up hitting a brick wall against 2 linebackers, and he fumbled. But at the end of the day, Marcus Mariota, he wasn't bad in the rushing game. That was actually probably the highlights of his season this year, when he showed he can do that read option. He can contribute in the rushing game. Eric Gallard said Patterson and Algier has been a good running duo. Yes, definitely a good running duo. Like I said, with Cordero Patterson getting older, you're gonna need that 2-headed monster. And then Cordero Patterson can just do a lot of great other things. He can contribute in the passing game. He can do a lot of things. So you have to just allow him to just be an athlete. But him and Tyler Algier will be a good duo. But then I expect Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley to be even a better duo. Probably towards the end of next season, you'll probably start seeing that Cordero Patterson start slowing down like he normally does, and then Caleb Huntley will be able to come in and be that bell cow for us. Which leads us to Caleb Huntley, 76 attempts. He did end up getting hurt, but he did, and he didn't really have a lot of attempts. But he made good with all the attempts that he got. 366 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, I look forward to seeing Caleb Huntley, which is another guy that I predicted would be a great running back for this Atlanta Falcons team. When we got him as an undrafted free agent the year we got him 2 years ago, I said Caleb Huntley is going to be the dark horse, and sure enough, he has shown. He came out this year and showed that, hey, we got a running back. We got a running back by committee, but Arthur Smith definitely have developed this run game. So that was one highlight. Another highlight I saw from the Atlanta Falcons offense was Drake London looks like he's a future star receiver. He ended the season with 72 completions out of 117. He did miss a couple of passes that he should have been able to hold on to, but then he also missed some passes due to being overthrown or underthrown by Marcus Mariota, or just having to try to make a play over a dude to stop an interception, because Marcus Mariota's arm strength just wasn't there this year. But all in all, 866 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 fumbles. He did have a fumble against the Saints, which was one of the ones I remember. And then he had 231 yards after catch. So not only is this man catching the ball, he's also getting yards after catch. So he just brings some explosiveness to this offense, and I look forward to seeing how he develops next year and just continues on to be that guy for us next year. And we have to remember, he did this without really any veteran leadership. What's his name? Julio Jones, of course, he's been gone for years. He did have Kyle Pitts, who probably contributed to most of his development. And then also he kind of had Calvin Ridley, but then we ended up trading Calvin Ridley, and Calvin Ridley was suspended. So a lot of his behind the scenes stuff was probably happening behind the scenes because he couldn't show up for to the facility. But with him not having any veteran leadership in that elite veteran leadership, he did have some veterans with Demir Bird and Brian Edwards, who's still kind of young himself. But other than that, I mean, he was pretty much having to step up, as a rookie. And he did that. So I love that pick. And then the other highlight I saw this year was the offensive line. They improved. They showed improvement. We had 1,000-yard rushing season this year. A lot of times you saw the Falcons giving Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder some time to pass the ball. so they didn't give up as many sacks as we're accustomed to. I just saw a different offensive line. So shout out to that offensive line. Even though we had a lot of moving pieces, Elijah Wilkinson got hurt. We had some guys to step up. We had some guys to kind of like step into roles that they probably never played before, like a Matt Hennessy, like a Drew Dowman, and having to just compete. And so I just saw like solid offensive line play this year, and I look forward to seeing them improve even more next year. So those was my pros from the offensive side of the ball. Let's get to the cons of the offensive side of the ball. Marcus Mariota never developed good rapport with Kyle Pitts. A lot of times we've seen Marcus Mariota overthrowing Kyle Pitts on the deep routes. He's wide open. You just overthrow him. We've seen him, throw the ball too high. We've seen him throw the ball too low. We've seen him could not throw the ball into one tight windows with Kyle Pitts being double teamed. You're going to have to be able to throw him the ball even when he's covered. You're going to have to be able to show that you can do that, and we weren't able to do that. However, I did see some decline in Kyle Pitts' ability to, get open and be a playmaker. So I do want to see Kyle Pitts improve, but I did not see Marcus Mariota build a rapport with Kyle Pitts, who's supposed to be our number one, option on our offensive side of the ball. And of course, Desmond Ridder didn't have any time with Kyle Pitts because he ended up getting hurt. Another flaw that I saw was just poor situational football by Arthur Smith at times. Like I said, I went through all our losses and told you how we lost some games, and most of those games, maybe 3 out of those games, was Arthur Smith's fault. So I want to see Arthur Smith take a step forward and take accountability, man. I didn't see him take accountability after a lot of those losses. He was just pretty much blaming it on poor play, and I just want to see him take up more accountability as the head coach and / offense coordinator. But yeah, so those are my cons from the offense side of the ball. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. We got some pros and some cons as well. So when on the defensive side of the ball, what they showed me was that they have some fight. We have some fight this year. We improved as a defense overall, maybe not statistically, but what I seen from my eye test, I saw a lot of improvement from the defense. But what they did show me this year, they showed me that in that second half, we can adjust. We haven't seen our defense be able to adjust in the past years. This year, we got to see our defense adjust. And what I mean by adjust is just not allowing the same things to happen that you allowed in the first half. A lot of our games, we hinder offenses from scoring, even shut some offenses down. So let's go through those games. First, I think it was week 2, we held the Rams down to 10 points in the second half. If you watch that game, we went down 21-0 in the first half. And then the Falcons came out and we had a chance to win that game. The defense only gives up 10 points in the second half. Against Seattle, we gave up 3 points in the second half. And Seattle, we know what Seattle was this year. It was a competitive game, but to see the defense only give up 3 points in the second half, that's doing something. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that first loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where we got screwed over, we only gave up 8 points in the second half. That's 2 Tom Brady. So at the end of the day, that's a good game. The Cleveland Browns, we gave up 10 points, and we know how the Cleveland Browns was just running all over us with Nick Chubb, but we were able to stop them in the second half and adjust, and we ended up winning that game. The San Francisco 49ers, we gave up 0 points in the second half, and we know how we dominated that entire game. The San Francisco 49ers did put up 14 points in the first, I think it was in the first quarter, and then from that point on, we dominated them. But in the second half, we gave up 0 points in the second half to the San Francisco 49ers. The Cincinnati Bengals, although they dominated us in that first half, only gave up 7 points in the second half to all those receivers and Joe Burrow. And I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow probably went out in the fourth quarter, but we did only give up 7 points in the second half. The Los Angeles Chargers, we only gave up 6 points in the second half. We had a chance to win that game, and we just couldn't get it done, but 6 points. Carolina Panthers in that second game, in the second game, we gave up 12 points in that second game. 12 points. Had a chance to win the game as well. Who else? The Chicago Bears. We know Justin Fields was killing us in the first half. Second half, we adjusted, only gave up 7 points. And pretty much made Justin Fields, but we bottled him up. We started sacking him, we started getting to him, and the defense showed up. The Commanders, like I said, we lost that game due to a bad play on the goal line, but only gave up 9 points in the second half. The Pittsburgh Steelers gave up 3 points in the second half. The New Orleans Saints in the second game gave up 7 points in the second half. The Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, we gave up 3 points in the second half. The Arizona Cardinals gave us 6 points in the second half, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, although Tom Brady did go out in the second quarter, in the second half, gave us 0 points. So at the end of the day, I saw improvement from the defensive side of the ball, just being able to show the ability to adjust and then shut down and make key plays when you need it to. To me, that speaks volumes to the defense, and I see the defense improving next year. But however, we do have some cons from the defense that we definitely need to look at to improve this next year. We were ranked 31st in sacks this year with 21 sacks. That's not good. I think the 32nd team was the Chicago Bears with 20 sacks. So that's not good. We were ranked 24th in interceptions this year with 10. We got to get more. We got to get more turnovers. We have to get more turnovers. We were also ranked 32nd in the NFL with forced fumbles. No, we got to get better. Ranked 25th in the league as far as passing yards allowed. We gave up 3,942 passing yards this season. Ranked 25th. We were also ranked 23rd in passing touchdowns allowed. We gave up 26. Ranked 23rd in rushing touchdowns allowed. Rushing yards allowed. We gave up 2,214 rushing yards. Ranked number 19 in pass and rushing touchdowns allowed. We gave up 15. And then ranked 32nd in third down conversions made against us. We gave up 101, which was the league highest 101 third down conversions. Can't get off the field on third down. And then on fourth down, we were the third ranked as far as fourth down conversions made, meaning that the team we allowed fourth down conversions, we gave up 7. Still a big number because you got to get off the field. And the Falcons have yet to show that they can get off the field. However, they did have a bend but not break defense this year. And, so all in all, it wasn't a bad performance by the defense, but we still have some room for improvement. And we still having the same issues that we've been having for years. Not having the ability to get to the quarterback, can't really stop the run, being out physical sometimes, lack of tackling, poor tackling, and just bad coverage, So at the end of the day, the Falcons defense was better than the offense this year, but statistically, we just look bad compared to the rest of the league. They were the most consistent on the team. But we're gonna go ahead and get to the next topic. Which players stood out this year for the Atlanta Falcons? So I'm gonna show you some pictures and kind of tell you who I think stood out this year. First, we got to say Tyler Algier, man. I mean, we already went over his stats. I mean, he dominated for us in the run game. Without his efforts and without his contributions, the Atlanta Falcons probably would have lost way more games than we won. Cordero Patterson. We already know Cordero Patterson is a playmaker on this team. He's gonna provide some statistical some stats in the passing game and the running game and in the kick return game. He can do it all. So, another great year by the Cordero Patterson, as he gets older. Drake London stood out this year as a rookie wide receiver. I mean, without his contributions, we probably would have a horrible passing game, which we did, but Drake London, had a pretty good year, especially as a rookie. Almost went over 1,000 yards receiving with the bad quarterback player Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ritter, trying to, Desmond Ritter wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. AJ Terrell had a solid season, of course. I remember one game that really stood out for me for AJ Terrell, just seeing him shut down Amari Cooper against the Cleveland Browns. To me, AJ Terrell still shows that he's our best cornerback on this team. Now he didn't have his best year statistically, but he still had a solid year. Um, Grady Jarrett, of course, our best player on the team, best player on the defense by far. I mean, he's dominating. And I know Grady Jarrett is probably getting frustrated with just not having enough help. But Grady Jarrett still, even though he's getting triple team, double team, still just dominating, dominating in the trenches. And another great year for Grady Jarrett. Rashawn Evans, a linebacker that we brought in from the free agency from the Tennessee Titans, just was our best linebacker by far. Got a lot of tackles, just played good football this year. He provided a lot of help to this defense. And I look forward to seeing him next year. Hopefully the Falcons will bring him back. I think they will. He's still pretty young, but has a lot of has a lot of experience. And I think he's going to be a key piece to developing this defense. Another person, Caleb McGarry, had a good year this year. He showed that, hey, y'all better give me a contract. He's looking to go into this free agency. He's probably gonna have some offers, but all in all, Caleb McGarry definitely took a step forward this year. Like I said, that offensive line has been solid all year, and Caleb McGarry was a piece of that. Another offensive lineman, Chris Lindstrom, made the Pro Bowl. Definitely our best offensive lineman on this offensive line. Just dominated like he did since his rookie season. It ain't nothing much you can say about Chris Lindstrom. And then Jake Matthews, another veteran, just one of our best players on our offensive line, just had another dominant year. Just solid offensive line play. And then you got a guy that stepped up, even though Kyle Pitts went down. Miko Pruitt. I look forward to seeing the Falcons bring him back. He got into the end zone a good amount of times this year, made some key catches. Showed the ability to just be able to be a pass catcher when you needed him to. He'll be a solid backup for Kyle Pitts. And I look forward to seeing the Falcons. Hopefully they'll re-sign him. Olamide Zaccheaus had a pretty solid season. To me, Olamide, he just provides he can make those key plays when he needs to. He's not gonna be a wild guy, but at the same time, if you could just put him in that slot, sometimes allow him to stretch the field. Olamide Zaccheaus he's gonna be solid for the Atlanta Falcons to add to this receiving core. And I like Olamide Zaccheaus. Another key free agent acquisition this year was Lorenzo Carter. Although we didn't have a lot of sacks, but what I saw from Lorenzo Carter is just being able to control that edge, being able to run down blocks, run down quarterbacks, run down running backs, just having that motor to just keep going. I feel like he had a solid season. Although statistically we didn't have a lot of sacks, but he did make a lot of hurries. He did cause a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. But I like Lorenzo Carter, a Georgia boy, went to UGA. And I see him, coming back next year and just adding to this pass rushing game and just taking that step forward. I always thought that he was going to be a great acquisition when we picked him up. I felt like he needed a change of scenery from the New York Giants, and I think he found his home at home. Another rookie that came out and just had a solid season was Troy Anderson. To me, Troy Anderson was one of my favorite linebackers coming into this draft, and the Falcons was able to get him. I think we got him in the 3rd round or something like that. Solid pickup for the Atlanta Falcons. I think as he develops, he's gonna be pretty good, man. He's gonna add to him, and Rashad Evans is gonna be a good little linebacker tandem. I like Troy Anderson. And then you got Richie Grant, who had a solid season this year. He was able to play in the slot sometimes. He was able to be in the box. He was able to ball hawk. So I like Richie Grant. I think he took a step forward this year from his rookie season. He has shown that, hey, I could be the free safety for this team. So I like Richie Grant. And last but not least, Taquan Graham. Although he did have the fumble that caused us the game against the Los Angeles Chargers. However, solid season. Would like to see him improve a little bit more in the run game, but definitely had a lot of added some depth towards, stopping passes, getting to quarterbacks. Solid in the run game, but I really want to see him take a step forward and hopefully be that second defensive tackle with Grady Jarrett. But like I said, great sophomore year for Taquan Graham. But we had some players that needs to show improvement, So let's get to those players. Jalen Mayfield, you came into the league last year talking a lot of smack. Oh, if you want to protect your quarterback, if you don't want your quarterback to get sacked, you better draft me. And so far, you haven't even been able to show that you can get on the field. You haven't shown that you can start. Last year, you was forced into starting, and you just looked horrible in the beginning, and then you kind of evened out. But then this year, you wasn't able to win that left guard position. I don't know what's going on, man, but you gotta make some improvements this year. I want to see you improve, especially with this offensive line. We're young. Let's come on, man. We need you to take that step forward this year. And then you got Desmond Ridder. Although Desmond Ridder didn't have a bad, season, he only played three or four games. The first game he looked horrible against the Saints, which was expected. I mean, come on, man. It's against the Saints. No Kyle Pitts, only Desmond Ridder. Drake London. I felt like he forced it a lot to Drake London. I mean, they do have a rapport, and I'm happy to see that, because I do look forward to seeing this be the connection that we had with like a Matt Ryan and Roddy White, or Matt Ryan and Julio. I would love to see Drake London and Desmond Ridder, have that rapport. But we gotta see you get it. We gotta see you improve. I did, as time went by against the Baltimore Ravens. You looked a little bit more comfortable, and then against the Cardinals and the Bucs, you just looked more comfortable. So I do feel like, to me, Desmond Ridder was my favorite quarterback coming out of this past draft anyway. I did say he was my favorite. So, I'm happy that the Falcons was able to get him. And I just want to see him take that step forward next year, which there's no doubt in my mind that he will. I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with the offense. And as a rookie, he has shown the ability to be a leader. So I like Desmond Ridder, but I want to see him improve during the offseason. Another person I want to see improve is Kyle Pitts. Come on, man. Like, I understand you're getting double teamed, but that's what comes with being an elite talent. Your rookie year, you came out there, and yes, you had Matt Ryan, but now you're going to have to be able to help Desmond Ridder in the future, get better and help this passing game. With Drake London, I'm going to need Kyle Pitts to show some more. I know he did get hurt, but before he got hurt, he still really wasn't contributing to the offense like he should be, especially when we drafted you number 4 overall. We got to get better. On the goal line, I need to see them going after him. Like, why is he not getting a lot of touchdowns, especially in the red zone? He's supposed to be this red zone threat, and I just haven't seen it. But Kyle Pitts, I'm gonna need for you to improve next year. Next we got Darren Hall. Yes, I know Darren Hall. He's a young cornerback, but he got scorched a lot this year, a lot of times. But however, I do see some potential in him. Can he be an outside cornerback? No, but at the same time, I feel like he can be a depth. He can provide some great depth. But I would love to see him improve next year as well. And then Arnold Ebiketie. We did bring him in the second round. I have high hopes for him. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great. So I do want to see him improve a little bit more next year, just helping us be able to get to the quarterback. But he's a rookie, so he just has to improve. And then last but not least, Casey Hayward. I had high hopes of him coming in, helping AJ Terrell, just being another shutdown cornerback. And so far, he hasn't been able to be that guy. He did get hurt. But I do want to see more improvement, especially as a veteran. I shouldn't see you getting beat on some stuff that just you shouldn't be getting beat on. I mean, for me, I thought Casey Hayward would just be able to shut down the second side of that field. Unfortunately, he wasn't. But I do see the Atlanta Falcons, of course, continuing on with his contract and just seeing what he can do next year. But those are my players that need to improve. Of course, there's many others that need to improve. The team just needs to improve. But those are some ones that stood out to me during the whole season. And then we're going to get to this last topic. I'm sorry, not the last topic, but the topic before the last. And that's let's evaluate Arthur Smith. So to me, Arthur Smith, what he did in his second year as a head coach, he did establish a culture, a new attitude for this team. Now this team has fight. So he has built the foundation, a solid foundation. He has helped the offensive line improve, and maybe because he played offensive line, so he knows offensive line, and he's been able to like just bring in pieces, whether through the draft or through the offseason, or just developing talent that wasn't able that Dan Quinn wasn't able to develop, like a Caleb McGarry. But I need to what I do need to see from Arthur Smith is be more committed to your run game. If you're gonna say that we're a running team, then we have to be more committed to it. In times where you should have been running the ball in those key moments in situational football, you decided to pass when you knew you didn't have the quarterback that can complete those passes. Like I said, the Washington Commanders game, the New Orleans Saints game, the second one. I mean, those was one running situations, and you went away from the run. So if we're going to be a running team, let's be committed to it. And also, like I said, you just struggled in football, in situational football moments at times. And sometimes I feel like you try to be too pretty when it comes to calling plays. Like the reverse play to Cordero Patterson, and then reverse it to Desmond Ritter, who gets sacked. Little stuff like that. It's like, just run straight ahead sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Just line up on the goal line instead of trying to pass the ball to Cordero Patterson. Let's line up and just run it down their throats. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop trying to be pretty, because the pretty plays just did not work this year. We didn't complete any of those pretty plays. So let's stop being pretty, man. But overall, I think Arthur Smith is a nice head coach, and I think the Falcons made the right decision. I just want to see him improve. And then also he's going to have to bring in another defensive coordinator. Hopefully we're able to promote from within internally, but maybe they got their eyes on somebody outside of the organization. I just want to keep what we have already built with Dean Pease and just keep improving on that. Let's not switch up the defense totally. Let's stay with where we at. So hopefully Arthur Smith is able to bring in the right defensive coordinator. But overall, as a head coach, I think he's pretty solid. Let's get to the last topic of the day, and that's the areas of focus for the offseason, going into this offseason for the Atlanta Falcons. To me, they got a few things we got to worry about this year. So we do have a lot of money in the cap going into this offseason, which we haven't seen in years. But with more money comes, you got to be more responsible with the money. We can't. Before I get going, let me respond to Merrick Gallard. Merrick Gallard said that game versus Washington Commanders, we should have won, but Arthur Smith didn't run the ball on that final drive. Yeah. I mean, like I said, second down, I think it was second down and goal on the 4-yard line. You try to throw the ball to Cordero Patterson, and it's still 1 minute and 3 seconds on the clock. We got all 3 timeouts. Washington has no timeouts. So instead of trying to go for the touchdown at that moment, I think you should have just at least ran the ball one more time before you call yourself trying to attempt to get into the end zone. Because let's say you do score on that drive. Let's say you do score. Well, now you lead the Washington Commanders with 1 minute on the clock, and we only up by 1 if we score a touchdown plus the field goal. We only up by 1. Okay, they go down and get in field goal range, and then you lose the game. So Arthur Smith, you got to run the ball in those moments, man. For me, he made me mad that game. It made me decide, hey, I'm about to go and coach. I'm about to go and coach some youth football. So I do look forward to being a coach this year. Hopefully I can get a gig. But yeah, he definitely screwed that one up. But yeah, so let's get back to the areas of improvement. Like I said, because you're going to have more money, we need to spend the money wisely. Let's not put ourselves into the situation that we just got ourselves out of, overspending for players. Just bringing in players with high dollar, thinking that, okay, yeah, we get a high level player, we got to spend all this money, and then they come in and disappoint you. So spend the money wisely. Don't overspend, but don't be too frugal as well. You got to be balanced with it. If you see a guy that you know can help you, go get that guy. But don't be so willing to just throw out money just because you want to get names in here. Go get solid players. I care more about solid gameplay than names, because as we saw this last offseason, a lot of money was spent on some top name players, and then we saw with some of those teams, especially in the AFC West, with Russell Wilson, the Chargers didn't really show they didn't really play to the standard or the expectations of a lot of people. The Raiders didn't play to the expectation. So you spent a lot of money this offseason. However, there was not good play. I prefer play over money. Merrick Gallar said Arthur Smith definitely needs to be better with his decision making next season. Yes, definitely. But yeah, so we got to get we have to be more. We have to spend our money wisely. We do have a lot of money, but we got to spend it wisely. Second point, we got to look for a defensive coordinator that can continue what Dean Pease already established. Like I said before, don't come and try to recreate the wheel. We don't need to try to go from a 3-4 back to a 4-3. No, let's be balanced. Like, we have a balanced defense. Let's just add to that. Let's just get better. Let's improve it. Let's develop the young guys, and then we can bring in some more veteran leadership to help us. We definitely need to, look into those trenches, which brings me to my next point. Let's look to improve those trenches, especially in the interior defensive line. Grady Jarrett is getting frustrated. We got to get somebody who can help him. It's a guy in the draft who I would love to get. Unfortunately, we may not be able to get him unless we trade up, and that's Jalen Carter out of Georgia. But we gotta look to strengthen that defensive tackle position and help Grady Jarrett, because if he's getting doubled and triple teamed on some plays, then what is everybody else doing? So we got to get better in those trenches. Yes, I do understand you want to bring in some pass rush, but you did that. I think it's time to develop. It's time to develop on the pass rushing side. You brought in Arnold Albuquerque. You brought in Malone, D'Angelo Malone. You brought in Lorenzo Carter. And you still have Ojun Deji. Maybe if you re-sign him. But at the same time, we can't keep going pass rush. Eventually, you got to get a pass rush in here. Maybe you need to look into free agency to bring in some more depth. But I think we need to just stick with what we have on the outside and allow Albuquerque to, see if he could take that step forward. And then Lorenzo Carter wasn't shabby, in my opinion. I think what we need to improve in is being able to flush quarterbacks out of the pocket with somebody who can push the pocket with Grady Jarrett and get to the quarterback from the interior. So I think improving in the inside of the defensive line would be better than trying to go find another pass rush. Now, if a pass rusher fell into your lap, of course you go get you one. You never can have too many of them, but that don't need to be your main focus going into this offseason to try to go and get the so-called top pass rusher. No, we need to improve in the interior of the defensive line. And then also on the offensive line, improve in the inside as well. We need to develop. Matt Hennessy, are you going to take over? Are you going to finally take over that center position, or are you going to let Drew Diamond keep competing with you? Can we find a left guard with Elijah Wilkinson maybe up for a contract and just being hurt most of the season? Jalen Mayfield, can you take that step forward? The guy from Georgia, Sheffer, that we got in the draft. Can you finally develop? Can you develop this next year? Who's going to take over? We got solid right guard with Chris Lindstrom. We got a solid right tackle. If you're able to bring Caleb McGarry back, you definitely got Jake Matthews. But we gotta get solidified in that center position, that left guard position. So I definitely want to see us improve in that area. And then also look to improve in the linebacker position. Yes, I love Rashaan Evans. I love Troy Anderson. Michael Walker, he's a solid piece. But we gotta go get some guys that can tackle, man, that can be some headhunters. Like I said, Rashaan Evans and Troy Anderson, they're definitely solid pieces. But if you can go get you another linebacker who can tackle, who's not afraid to tackle, I think we lost a lot of games due to poor tackling in the interior, in the front seven. If you can go get another linebacker who can thump, I think we can take a step forward. Merrick Gallar said Falcons need improvement on the offensive line and defense. Yes, definitely. And then another area to improve in for this next offseason is we need another solid cornerback alongside AJ Terrell. You got a guy in Ringo at Georgia who I would love to see the Falcons bring in at the number 8 pick overall. Unless you can find you a solid cornerback in this free agency, I think Ringo would be a great solid pickup. And you still got Casey Hayward who can be that veteran in that locker room to help development. If Ringo can't show in his first season, and then you still got Isaiah Oliver and then AJ Terrell. So like I feel like if you can go get you a solid cornerback on that other side of AJ Terrell, just to add some more depth as well, I think that's another area of improvement that we can look forward to in the offseason. Next, we gotta bring in a quarterback that can help Desmond Ridder develop. You don't have to go out. At first, I was thinking like maybe we can go out there and get Lamar Jackson, who's gonna be up for a contract, who's wanting to get paid. But I think Desmond Ridder can be a solid franchise quarterback. We just need somebody who can help him develop and also just provide some competition and some leadership. You know, some solid second string play if need be. I think a guy maybe like a what's his name, Derek Carr. You know, I know he's probably going to be looking to go for a starting position, but you may be able to swing Derek Carr in here if teams aren't really looking at him. But we need a veteran. You can't really go into this draft trying to bring in a CJ Stroud or somebody like that, because then you just pretty much saying, well, we don't believe in Desmond Ridder. We're going to go ahead and bring in another rookie quarterback. I just feel like you need to give Desmond Ridder a full year to see what we have before we decide to go ahead into the draft. So I think you just bring in another veteran, somebody who can be solid, who can help Desmond Ridder develop and just be a solid backup if need be. Next, you need to look into another playmaker at the receiver position. Of course, you can go into the draft and get you another receiver. However, I think you should go into this offseason, into this free agency, and see who out there. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins may be trade on the trade block for the Arizona Cardinals, who I think could add to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Man, that would be great to bring in a DeAndre Hopkins, or Juju Schuster Smith. Another solid receiver who could probably be out of KC. Just bringing in another veteran type receiver who can be a number 2 or potentially another 1A, 1B type situation. You got money to spend, so you should be able to go out here and get you a solid receiver if it's a proven receiver out there in the free agency, or someone who's looking, to get rid of a player just because they can't afford them. So we got to go out here and capitalize on that. And then last but not least is just continue to develop and add more solid depth to the entire team as a whole. We can be better. I feel like we will be better next year, but we got to just continue to grow. We got to keep building on what we already built, what we already established, what we already built the foundation. Let's keep building on that. So overall, if I had to just put the Atlanta Falcons season into like just a sentence, I would say the Atlanta Falcons exceeded most expectations. However, we still put ourselves in positions that we shouldn't have put ourselves into. We lost games that we should have won, and we just need to improve on just being better next year from the beginning. Don't lose games that you should win. We learn how to not give up leads, but we have learned how to put ourselves in the hole, and then we saw that we can climb out of those holes, but we shouldn't put ourselves in those holes every game. Let's not just be a second half team. Let's be a full game. Let's be a full quarter team. We haven't really been able to see that except for against the San Francisco 49ers. That's the only game where we played all 4 quarters. I want to see us be more consistent than that. But overall, the Falcons, they had a solid season, but still room for improvement. Still got to get better. And I look forward to seeing us make a playoff push next year. So it's been another episode of Fan of Atlanta 365. It's been your boy Jay Howard, a.k.a. the official Georgia boy. Like I said, I will be trying to give y'all some more Falcon videos, especially during this offseason when No Huddle will be on the offseason after the Super Bowl. Well, probably before the Super Bowl. I think it's our last week. So after the Super Bowl, I will be giving you more content for the Atlanta Falcons, thinking about, talking about the free agency, the offseason, the draft, all that good stuff. That's what I will be focusing on for this channel for Fan of Atlanta 365, man. But like I said, I appreciate y'all for joining me. Appreciate y'all support. Sorry this video went long. I actually didn't want to go live. I was just going to put the video out there, but I decided to go live today, and I'm happy I did. But I just wanted to give y'all an in-depth evaluation analysis of what I see from the Atlanta Falcons, because I haven't given you guys content on the Atlanta Falcons all season. So I just wanted to give y'all, just show y'all what I know, man, what I've been seeing. So I appreciate the support, man. Don't forget, go to Fan of Atlanta 365 on YouTube. Type in Fan of Atlanta 365 Network, because it's a network. And subscribe to the channel, man. Don't forget, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat. And throw in your bullfrog if you have one, because I know my Georgia Bulldogs had some bullfrog soup this past weekend. Monday night. So we're national champions. Look forward to, my Atlanta Hawks making a playoff push. Looking forward to the Georgia Bulldogs, taking another natty next year. The Atlanta Braves hopefully winning another World Series. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, of course, they just gonna be them, whatever like that. And Atlanta United, of course, I feel like hopefully they'll be able to improve. But Merritt Gallard, pretty sure he knows a little bit more than I know about soccer. But my Atlanta Falcons should make the playoffs next year if we could just make those key moves this season, this off season. But yeah, man, hey, don't forget, man, catch No Huddle every Saturday at 7 p.m. This Saturday we will be live again, so definitely tune in this Saturday with No Huddle with Jeremy and Hassan. And then hopefully J&B, the Talk of the Dirty South show, will return next season, and also Uncle and Nephew. So this channel will need your support. We need your support, man. Make sure you hit this like button. Make sure you comment on these videos. Make sure you share these videos on your social media platforms. Just get the word out, man. Help me grow this channel. Help us grow these shows, man. So definitely keep supporting us like y'all been doing, man. Hey, it's been another episode of Fan of Atlanta 365. It's been your boy Jay Howard, aka the official Georgia boy, and I'll see y'all in the next video, man. I'm out of here.